Who started religion? Not in the way we've been told, but really, where did this all come from? Because if you look at it closely, there's a pattern. In ancient Egypt, in what's called the Memphis theology, there was a figure named Ptah, P-T-A-H. Ptah was considered the supreme creator, not in a physical sense, but as mind and word. Meaning creation didn't begin with something physical. It began with a thought and expression. And from that came Atum, A-T-U-M. Adam was considered the first God, the origin point, the beginning of everything. Now, let's slow down for a second and actually think. Okay, let's look at this logically, without immediately accepting or rejecting anything. Is there a connection here? Or are they just random stories? When you really trace things back, what we now call religion didn't start as structured belief systems. It started as tribal gods, totems, rituals, and symbolic language. There was nature worship, people trying to understand the sky, the earth, life, death. And there was also what we would call spirit or ghost worship, because again, people were trying to explain what they couldn't understand. So religion at its core is society's way of adjusting to the unknown, a way of explaining what's mysterious. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes the simplest explanation wasn't the one people wanted, because saying this is nature or this is science feels too ordinary, too real. So instead it becomes symbolic, mystical, hidden behind language. And this is where it gets interesting. When you start looking at religious texts, not just the stories, but as symbols. In Egyptian tradition, you have Atum, the origin, the center, the first. Now in the Bible, you have Atum, A-D-A-M. And people have pointed out the similarity in language. Atum, Atum, Atum. Now here's the idea. Not that these are literally the same thing, but that they might be pointing to something deeper. In science, when you split an atom, you release energy. Expansion happens. In the Bible, you have the story of Adam, the creation of woman through the removal of a rib. The interpretation some people explore is this, that these stories could be symbolic, pointing to creation through division, through separation, through expansion. So instead of taking everything literally, the question becomes, what if these texts were written in a symbolic language? What if what we call religion was actually an attempt to communicate deeper truths about life, the universe, and ourselves? There are also people who point to things like this. In the Bible, the tribe of Judah is referred to as children of light, and the number associated with them is 186,400. That number just so happens to match the approximate speed of light in mules per second. Now, whether you see that as a coincidence or symbolism or something intentional, it raises a question. What exactly were those texts trying to communicate? Because maybe the Bible was never meant to be taken as a literal storybook, but as something else. In the Old Testament, it reveals things like knowledge, principles, patterns. In the New Testament, it reveals things as belief, interpretation, and theology. And over time, what may have started as symbolic understanding became structured belief. And instead of asking people to think, it told people what to believe. But if you look deeper, the message isn't about fear. It's not about punishment or demons or hell. It's about the nature of the universe, the nature of Earth, and the nature of ourselves. And once you start looking behind the words instead of just at them, everything changes. Because this isn't about rejecting religion or blindly believing it. It's about understanding it, questioning it, and seeing what's actually there. Because the moment you start asking where something came from, you stop believing it and you start seeing it. If you were born somewhere else, would you believe something completely different?